please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'd like to thank everybody for coming out on this frigid night. Can I get a roll call?
Mr. Burns?
Here.
Mr. D'Andriano?
Here.
Mr. Rogan?
Here.
Mr. Williams?
Here. Mr. Cook has unfortunately been called away.
Do you want me to move it?
Would somebody like to audit the bills?
Sure. I'd like to make a motion to approve abstract number 23 dated December 15, 2019 in the amount of $558,873.28. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Mr. D'Andriano, you're first up.
Okay, first item on my agenda, Recreation Center programs. So I met with Matt Chavarro and Veronica last week, and we just started to brainstorm on some new programs and some new events that we wanted to do down at the rec center. So I just wanted to mention some of them. Some of them are still in the works, but one thing we're doing on March 31st is National Stop the Bleed Day. So it's a national program to educate people on using tourniquets and bleeding control during a mass casualty incident. So what we're going to do is I have a buddy who has a company. He's a paramedic, and he's also with the emergency service unit with NYPD. And we want to do like a seminar with bleeding control, active shooter, CPR. So it'd be like a kind of a few hours down at the rec center, maybe like a round. We're not really sure how many people we're going to get. If we get a lot of people, we might do like a round robin thing. We'll have different stations, or we might just have one big seminar and just go through the different things. We're also looking at a bike rodeo on May 12th. We're working with HealthQuest. I got a grant through HealthQuest to get bicycle helmets to give away. So we could have kids can come down, get free bicycle helmets, have a little bicycle safety seminar, and then we'll set up a little bicycle rodeo course where they ride their bikes through the course, and they have stop signs and yield signs and stuff like that. We're also looking to do on June 9th a child passenger safety seat check event. Again, along with HealthQuest and probably hopefully the sheriff's office, where we'll do a check event and check child car seats. We're also looking to do some CPR classes, first aid classes, and maybe some driver safety classes. So if anybody has any ideas out there too of new programs that they want to see offered at the rec center, to contact Matt Chavarro down there. They're always looking to offer some new programs. They've done a lot of programs over the years that they kind of threw against the wall to see if they'll stick. Some of them were pretty good. Some of them didn't have a lot of interest, but I think they offered a lot last year trying to get things going.
We did wonderful with the wine and chocolate. But I have a question on the first program. Who is the first program targeted for?
It is targeted for average citizens that want just to
Anybody coming in off the street?
anyone coming off the street. Yeah.
Okay. All right, good.
So it'd be good. We wanted to do it a little earlier after the events in Vegas and in Texas and stuff, but it's something we really wanted to get together and put a really good program together, and we wanted to correspond with the National Stop the Bleed Day, so I think it's a good fit. Plus we needed to make sure the rec center was available. Okay, next item on my agenda is the Putnam County Traffic Safety Board report. So last week, December 14th, was our last meeting of the year. Several members have stepped down. Bob Cullen from Southeast, Sergeant Behan from the Carmel Police Department, and Sheriff Don Smith stepped down as chairman. So going into the new year, we're looking to have a new chairman, and that's going to determine which direction we're going to go into. We offered a lot of programs over the years, so we're hoping that they will stay. I had brought up at the Traffic Safety Board meeting our concerns that the town supervisor brought up about the Pugsley Road project in Southeast. I brought up our concerns about the traffic going into the town of Patterson, and the highway superintendent for Southeast was at the meeting along with Bob Cullen, who was the deputy town supervisor, and they assured us that they will involve the town of Patterson with any planning, and they also said that the town and the developer are willing to do whatever we wish them to do with the traffic that's going into our town. So did you also talk to?
I've talked with the supervisor, and I have a letter going out tomorrow asking that the town be considered as an involved agency in this, because there is no way that project is not going to affect the roads in the town of Patterson. And either, in some form, we are going to have to make improvements to those roads. So, and that's going to be approved by the highway superintendent. That elevates us to an involved agency status in this project. So that letter is going out tomorrow.
Good.
Back to the safety board, just so you're aware, I've had a number of conversations with some of our county legislators who have been looking at the traffic safety board, and now that there's been a big turnover, they are taking a hard look at, you know, what has been going on with the traffic safety board and what the mission is, and they haven't shared it with me, but they are talking about making some substantial changes to that board. So
Interesting.
more coming.
We've done a lot with that board, so.
You have.
I was a member of the Westchester Traffic Safety Board, and that board was more of just kind of agencies getting together and telling each other what we do. It wasn't really a board collaboratively doing stuff. And the Putnam County Traffic Safety Board is actually very active in doing stuff together for the county to make the road safer. So, two more things: the MTA Railroad Bridge on 311. We've been talking about this for probably a year now. Specifically the rock wall that's been crumbling before and after the railroad bridge. So we are getting some traction again. They did do some work on it. If you notice, they resurfaced some of the concrete on the abutments. They put up guardrails and they took them down after they weren't DOT compliant. But they are also looking, I know we said that, you told me that, we talked about you, we saw the surveyors out there a couple weeks ago. The surveyors were actually there to survey that area, so they're going to do something there.
They are going to do something there. That's all part of the rail trails. So they are going to be doing some improvements to that bridge.
Yeah. So hopefully that's going again. And the last thing is, I brought up a concern in our town, Route 22 by Thunder Ridge. We've had multiple fatalities there over the years, and I asked the Traffic Safety Board to look at it and see if there's anything we can do to make that corridor a little safer. I don't know what we can do, but we're going to meet with the representative from the New York State DOT, County Highway, and then perhaps maybe we'll have Russ Goff come out and give his expertise too.
Just so you know, both of those intersections where Thunder Ridge and Birch Hill Road come out on the 22 have been, you know, the cause of numerous accidents. So I've actually had conversations.
I don't think you should say the cause of numerous accidents.
Well,
Maybe
there have been
the location
of numerous
accidents probably would be more appropriate.
I have had some conversations with both the DOT and the riders about abandoning both of those and bringing Birch Hill straight out onto Route 22.
Mm-hmm.
So we're currently looking for some design money. You know, I've talked to Russ about the improvements that are necessary. They're probably simple enough that Highway could perform the work, you know, with adequate funding, you know, to back them up. But that's the direction I've been trying to get to for, you know, about 18 months now.
Mm-hmm.
The riders are all on board to give us the land in exchange for us abandoning, you know, that one segment of Thunder Ridge Road and turning that over to them, which would enhance the ski area as well.
So would that be a traffic light then? Are you envisioning it?
I'm not envisioning a traffic light. I don't believe the warrants are going to be necessary to put a traffic light in there any more than we have the warrants at the two intersections now.
So are you just saying the first intersection would be the only egress and
I'm
or are
saying
you saying you would come straight out?
I would come straight out from Birch Hill. So it's a T intersection, which is what you really need there.
Yeah. Yeah, because either way, you're coming in at an angle.
That's right.
It's hard to see. Yeah. So that might be a good thing. So.
But at that point, it's only one lane, so you'd face people stopping to make the turn, right? On either direction? Wouldn't that be
Yeah.
problematic?
No,
No?
no, that would be coming straight out.
Okay.
And Sean, just so you know, one of the problems we've had out there is people getting to the intersections, either the southbound or the northbound,
and trying to hook a turn there, which has caused some of those accidents.
I would argue that the people doing that action caused the concern, not the, I'm not saying it's not good
No.
geometry, but considering that the town has been named in lawsuits for accidents that have occurred out there, I just was trying to be more careful with statements, that's all. I mean,
Understood.
It's like when you read the notice in the paper says the vehicle careened off the road. Well, the person driving the vehicle went off the road. The car didn't do it on its own.
Right.
But that's the way they write things these days so as not to offend anyone. I just, you know.
You know, a lot of times we have, we bring up, with dangerous intersections or dangerous areas, and then they go back and look at the statistics and find, well, there's no car crashes or fatalities or anything to support making any changes. But I think in that area, I just know off the top of my head several fatalities, as we all probably do. So if we went back and looked at the statistics over the last 10 years, I'm sure between serious crashes and fatalities, there's plenty of data to support any changes.
Is there a representative of the DOT on your, on
Yes.
that? Okay.
Yeah, Joe Hurley.
Okay, good.
He's actually retiring in April, but there's always someone.
Yeah.
They've been pretty active because most of the concerns are with state roads. So.
Good. Great.
That's all I have with that. Next item on my agenda is the Friar Realty LLC versus the town of Patterson. So it's come to our attention that from our town council that there's a conflict of interest with representing us on this. So we guess we need to appoint a outside counsel to represent us. So there's we do have a couple issues to discuss. I'd like to discuss them in executive session.
Okay.
Make a motion to table that to executive session.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So everybody knows this is a tax or sharing.
Tax or sharing. Okay, last item is the fire department contracts. Guess we're looking to set a public hearing to discuss the contracts for Putt Lake Fire Department and Patterson Fire Department. Do we have a date for that?
I would just set it for the first meeting in January.
So I'd like to make
the reorganizational meeting, first regular meeting?
First regular
meeting.
Yeah.
the second Wednesday of January. So
Second.
moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
That is all I have.
Okay. Mr. Rogan?
Okay, first item is something we started a couple of months ago, actually. Councilman Burns and I met and we were trying to, basically modify the existing town's policy on employee evaluations. This is for our non-union town hall employees, recreation center, etc. We actually took a look at some of the existing policies, including what the town has in place. Pete gave us a policy that he uses at HealthQuest, which I thought was excellent. And we looked at the one from Kevin's office for Farmers Insurance, one from Putnam County, et cetera. And I think we were able to at least pull together some ideas of implementing an updated, hopefully a better policy to be able to not only provide good feedback to our employees, because as you brought it up initially, the existing system, the existing form was of minimal use. And so we were looking to either scrap that, I think, at the time. So what I've done basically, and what Kevin and I basically worked on, was coming up with some initial information for the board to take a look at. I've included the HealthQuest evaluation because it looks to be more performance-based. It has some really great information in here. We spoke about the importance of great customer service, of employees being innovative in the way that they do their jobs and not just maintaining status quo. And so it lends heavily to acknowledging and quantifying employees' efforts for those areas. So what we have is basically a policy and procedure with some information, a guide to what a rating system would be, and a couple of examples to take a look at. It's by no means done. It's a work in progress, but let me at least give this so people can take a look at it and we can continue the conversation. One, pass one down. You're in this at least for a few more days, Kevin.
Exactly.
And I have, obviously, Mary, I have a copy for you as well. So I think what would be appropriate is if we can kick this around from the standpoint of coming up with a system that you know, I think the form is less important than the way that you implement the form, the way you implement the process, to have that conversation with employees. First and foremost, to what is it the expectation? You know, what do we want our town employees to do in their daily activities? How do we want them to represent our town and our town residents? And so anything that we come up with, I think, is only as good as the way that we implement it. You know, a form is only a form. It's the way that you follow through with that. So what I would envision is in the next couple of weeks us codifying a system, and then doing some type of training for not only our supervisors who would be implementing this. I think we mentioned doing this around June for...
Well, actually, that's why this is on the agenda.
Okay.
But go ahead, finish
Yeah,
up.
so I mean, I think what we talked about was changing the way that we do our evaluation process to coincide with our budget process. The town, I think, very much wants to try to move towards some type of performance-based measures with their with consideration for raises. And so I think that if we can get to that point where employees have a better understanding of what the expectation is, I think that may lead to improvements within town and the way that we do business. So I think I've said enough on this, probably too much, but maybe we can kick this around. Anybody can shoot me emails, and again, Mary, I do have a copy for you, and we'll, you know, continue this
Okay.
over the next couple of weeks.
All right, great job.
So process, you said, you mentioned D.
And great job, Kevin. So thanks both for working on this. Yeah, actually, why this was put on the agenda, why I put this on the agenda, was typically we are now giving everybody employee evaluations to complete in January. You know, I've raised concerns about that in the past and continue to do so. And we had the conversation about holding off until June, which I think is more appropriate to do. So I just wanted to clear it with the town board that we are not doing employee evaluations now at this time, that the plan is...
Correct.
We're going to be doing them in June.
So if you do them in June, will they be for the last 12 months running? Are you going to go to like a
We're
mid-year?
going to have to do it for 16, but I think until if we're implementing a new policy, I think as I said, the big part of it is letting people know what they're going to be, what the expectation is.
Right.
So I would say the most important would be that level from the time that we roll this out to June is the initial. It's certainly going to have to look back to the last 12 months, but you know, we can't fully implement it until you get a full cycle on it, I think. But I think that that shouldn't be a hindrance to starting something new.
Nope.
So
I agree.
okay.
Okay.
Thank you. The next item I have, we started last meeting, was the EMS reimbursement policy. I don't think anyone probably sent you significant changes on it.
I have received no changes whatsoever so far.
And the only changes that I had were simple type related stuff. I think that the content and the intent of it, I think, was fine for me personally. I know that we had conversation last meeting about the what do you call it, the scale of
Correct.
potential waivers, and I know that Kevin had brought up some interesting and some good points on that. So I don't know if we want to kick that around anymore, but by and large, like I said, other than very minor edits that I failed to send you, I apologize for that. I'm okay with the policy.
Anyone else?
Just the same concern I had last time, so I didn't really have anything more to add than what I said at the last meeting. I don't have a problem having this as a guideline. I just am concerned about it being in the guidelines.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but
Okay.
it's up to you guys.
Can I ask about this, because
Go ahead.
just to touch on what you said, does it make sense to have this sliding scale as a tool in and maybe this is, Don, a question for you. You can create a policy, and then you can have different tools that you use to implement the policy. Do they have to be part of the policy, or are they like an annex to it? Something along those
I mean,
lines.
I was thinking you could do something like, you know, that the board may consider or make reference to the U.S. poverty guidelines for the year, and not, I mean, we've discussed this procedure, but not
Yeah.
explicitly stated potential waivers. Because as I said, you have the one guy who's, you know,
Sorry.
doesn't know that he could potentially qualify for a waiver, goes out of his way to pay the ambulance bill, and then you have someone else who's aware of the waiver, makes the application, how do you reconcile those two people? So,
That's a good idea, and then we wouldn't have to, because right now, if we kept it like it is, we would have to every year when the U.S. poverty guidelines change, I guess we would have to
We'd have to amend the
amend the
policy.
policy. So if we just said the current U.S. poverty guidelines.
Yeah, the problem is then people might go out there and pull down different tables, and it might be a little bit more subjective. What I was planning on doing is, adjusting the language in here to make it clear that this was only a guideline and not an absolute waiver, and possibly putting it in as an appendix.
Yeah, taking it into consideration, not really having verbiage that sets a standard, a specific standard.
Right.
So, take a look at it.
I can do that.
Okay.
We haven't reviewed it. If you'd like us to take a look at it, Rich, I'll chime in on it.
Sure. Absolutely. You want to leave that with me, and
I was going to ask you if you minded if I did that.
and I'll scan it tomorrow and,
No,
and
just
send it back.
No, I don't need it back. It
Well,
was,
that-
you're
want a
gonna.
copy of your changes.
They're
So, it's no big deal to
very
scan
minor,
it.
but
Okay.
okay, great, thank you. The next item we have is a request to rehire Ryan Cullen, who was formerly an EMT with the town of Patterson. Ryan left.
Actually, we
Yeah.
got the new list today from the county.
Okay.
All right. We have to recanvass that list.
Okay. So is he reachable, or do
It
we?
is not reachable at this
Okay.
time.
Well, let me rescind that first three sentences of what I said.
And I apologize. I
That's
thought that
quite
was
all right.
Communicated.
No, that's all right. But, okay, well, it looks like we will be canvassing the list of EMTs.
We
then.
will.
Fair enough. So then I don't have an EMS request. But what I do have is some very exciting news from the Town of Patterson Highway Department. I love these. Christmas tree pickup, Thursday, January 18th and Friday, January 19th. The snow dates are Thursday the 25th and Friday the 26th. Please have your trees curbside by Wednesday night. For more info, call 878-4341 or email highway@pattersonny.org. And here's a little... Great. Oop, no, I moved it. All right, awesome. Russ, thank you for all the great work that your guys are doing, especially with that. I felt so bad for the guys knowing they had to go out on Christmas Eve to go make our road safe, but I know they did a fantastic job. Thank you for that. Hey, Russ, good job. And I have nothing else.
Okay.
Thank
So, every year, we need to adopt a year-end resolution. It's 2 lines, so I'm going to introduce this resolution and actually read it. Be resolved that all bills audited by the Town Board of the Town of Patterson be paid and authorization be given for bills and encumbrances that might arise through December 31st, 2017. And be it further resolved that all transfers be automatically approved by the Town Board subject to their review at the new Town Board meeting. Budget transfers as of December 31st, 2017 are to be attached in the minute book. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
All opposed. So, at the last meeting, I had provided the board a proposed zoning change for commercial recreation. I was wondering if anybody had a chance to review it, take a look at it. Anybody had any comments or questions?
Looks good.
I'll put it in local law form, send it down to the attorneys to look at.
Sure. Rich, I have one question. I'm not as familiar with the layout of properties in the town and the different districts. Is it I'm sure you visited this before putting ink to paper, but would it be prudent to have this potential across town? Is it clear that?
This will affect the whole town.
It will, okay.
Yeah.
So that's,
So we're going to have to do notice to the adjacent municipalities,
I see, okay, so that.
as well as, provide notice in the paper. Yes, we're creating a floating zone. We're going where
It's throughout
very
the
few
town.
men have gone.
It's not particular to any district. It would cover the entire.
I don't believe it is, no.
Okay. And we'll take a look to know what we have as the latest one, if it's been changed, or that we have the original.
Yep. Okay. So, I'd just like to update the board that on December 14th, along with several of my fellow supervisors in Putnam and Westchester and Dutchess, we met with the Watershed Inspector General to talk about his proposal to create a zero phosphorus increase in stormwater from all new development. We asked for a meeting with the Watershed Inspector General. He is looking to implement this proposal through the filtration avoidance determination that the DEP would be required to then promulgate new rules and regulations to do this. I can tell you the DEP is not thrilled with this idea either. Our concern is a zero phosphorus increase is an impossible standard to meet for any new developer. Everybody acknowledges that there is no way you're going to do it on any particular site, that the developer would need to purchase land off-site. Basically, it would close down development in the town of Patterson and the watershed as a whole. So we are very concerned about the economic effect that this is going to have on our municipalities. The Watershed Inspector General assured us that this was a standard that could be met. He brought down 2 projects that he had worked on to demonstrate how this could be implemented at a reasonable cost and the developers could follow through. After hearing about the 2 projects, we both everybody in the room realized what these projects were, and they were tied with affordable housing down in Westchester County, and Westchester County actually picked up the whole tab on doing the stormwater improvements down there, which is how they were affordable to the developer. He brought up a number of other issues which we quickly debunked, and at the end of the day, his proposal was proven not to be true. Nonetheless, he insists that he wants to move forward with a zero phosphorus increase in the watershed, and he also believes that somehow he should be reviewing all new development proposals in his office. And in essence, this would create a whole other layer of review for projects coming within the watershed, and again, throw a very chilling effect on developers who are looking to come into our communities. We are working very hard right now to bring any new development into New York, which is positive to our community, and this would pretty much end that. So stay tuned for more. I've got a meeting coming up with, again, my fellow supervisors in Westchester and Putnam, because we all work very closely on the watershed issues to further talk about this. But if he is going to push this forward, there's probably going to end up in litigation someplace, which is going to cost us.
Are you able to say who the Watershed Inspector General, what his name is?
I am. It used to be Jim Tierney. It is now Phil Bean.
And that's DEC?
No, he works out of the Attorney General's
Oh,
office. He is a joint appointment of the Commissioner of the DEC and the Governor.
Okay.
And he has authority to implement that if he so chose?
Well, he doesn't have the authority to implement it, but he can push for its implementation through the DEC or the DEP. Now, and that's what's currently going on, is through the filtration avoidance determination, which is being reviewed and promulgated by the State Department of Health. He is trying to slide this in to require DEP to adopt regulations that would impose this standard on all new developers. You know, again, everybody has been resistant, including the State Health Department. Nobody is seeing this as a viable idea.
Yeah.
He also comments on projects typically, so it's not a separate approval project, a separate approval process before the Inspector General's office, but they certainly consider themselves interested in projects and will oftentimes submit opinions on projects of note.
Don, you're not getting picked up on by the mic.
Probably because I'm not plugged in.
When the position of Watershed Inspector General was created in 1997 with the MOA, it was never envisioned that he was going to be part of any sort of development review process. That was not his mandate. He has taken it upon himself to extend his authority.
Sounds like bureaucracy.
Okay, moving right along. thanks to the hard work of Mary and the planning department, we received a grant for improving our digitizing of records. We received a grant so that we could purchase a scanner and hire an individual for a number of hours so that we can start scanning the large plans in. I did go out this week and solicit prices to do that. The cheapest price that we received was from AVP Business for a Canon M40 color scanner, IPF 785 wide format plotter printer in the amount of $7,880. There's also an additional warranty for $1,800, which I would recommend that we purchase with the scanner. That amount is not going to be covered by the grant if we do go that direction.
What was the grant amount?
The grant amount was for $10,000.
10,000? I was going to say, what, just 10,000.
I have it here. I'm sorry, $17,150. The amount for the scanner that we budgeted was $10,080. So the prices have actually gone down on the scanner's plotter printer, so we actually saved a little bit of money by delaying a few months. So, any questions?
If we don't have the warranty, we're stuck on any of the repairs, huh? And they're expensive pieces of equipment, so it's a gamble on the warranty?
Yeah.
Well, we gamble on snow removal, don't we?
We do.
So, I think we probably ought to take the warranty and be assured that this thing's going to work and do its job effectively and not have to.
So it comes with a 1-year warranty, and then for the additional 2 years, that's what we're looking at.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's when it's going to break down, right?
3 years?
No, a year and a day.
Oh, yeah.
Year and a day, that's when they always break down.
Like my Apple phone F13.
No, I'm fine with the warranty. I don't know about anybody else.
Yeah.
All right, I'd like to make a motion to approve AVP Business Products for the purchase of a color scanner and wide format plotter printer for an amount not to exceed $9,700. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
This big scanner is going to allow us to reduce our paper load, right? Get rid of some of these files.
Oh, yeah, we're going to be able to move a lot of files off-site now.
Who's going to be scanning them?
We have not hired anybody as of
Okay,
yet.
so we're gonna
I've
hire
gotta get-
someone
I've
to
got to
just
get the
do that?
scanner in, up and running, and then we're going to be looking for somebody.
Once they've been scanned, though, is there at some point where we can get rid of the paper files and not have to pay storage fees to the county to hold on to them?
Yes, we will be purging the files as we do this, so that, you know, some of the older plans that were not approved, the earlier revisions.
Yeah.
We'll have the earlier revisions, but we won't need to keep copies. We'll keep
Sure.
copies of just the approved plans.
Sure. I think that's great. Not that it's a huge amount, but we see the cost every 3 months that we're paying for storage.
Sure. Well, you know, this also involves the building department, because the planning department has been scanning their files in as well. So I'm excited about possibly getting those 2 file cabinets out of the lunchroom. Okay, in my executive session, I will defer to the end of the meeting.
Alrighty, that leaves me. First item on my agenda is a renewal of our workers' comp insurance. Trish Brooks got quotes from Comp Alliance and PERMA. The recommendation is to renew with Nymer's Compensation Alliance, which would represent a cost savings of approximately $60,000. It's a decrease of about $60,000 from 2017. So I will make a motion to proceed with purchase of workers' comp insurance for some not to exceed $243,465. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Second item on my agenda is the Putnam Lake Patterson Memorial Pond would like to set up an algicide treatment for the 2018 calendar year. They have a bid from Limnology Information and Freshwater Ecology for an amount of $2,060. which would include the algae treatment and the permit fees. So I'll make a motion to approve approve and authorize the Patterson Memorial Park to enter into whatever contracts are required for limnology for some not to exceed $2,060. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Just so everybody knows, this is the firm that has been taking care of the pond now for a number of years.
Next item on our agenda is approval of a conference request, one conference request for training in Word, Outlook, and Excel. So make a motion to approve the conference request as submitted. So moved. I believe it only entails mileage. There's no overnight stay.
Right. Where is that?
Second.
I think it's multiple days.
That's what it is.
Yeah,
White Plains.
it's in White Plains, but it's over a course of
Several days.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 days.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
I'm not opposed. I just think it's a lot of money just for mileage, just for something that there are local trainings in Putnam County that we can do. So I think we need to. I'll approve it, but
How did we come to, the only thing that puzzled me is why we needed 7 days of training.
yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking. Like Word, Outlook, Excel, and PowerPoint. They're all they have trainings at Mayapack Library on this. They have trainings that are a little bit closer, but all right. Aye.
It's hard to tell though if
Motion carries.
It's hard to tell though if the training is comparable or, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do we know if it's half day or full day? Are we going down there is each day a full day?
It looks pretty extensive, so
It's going to be more training I've ever had in Word, Outlook, Excel, and PowerPoint.
I like
but
to do that.
Whatever.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Okay.
We're good? Move on?
Yeah. Thank you.
All right. Last item on my agenda are budget transfers. These, I believe, are the final budget transfers for 2017. Budget transfer 54 is within recycling contractual, moving $12,444 from contingent account to recycling contractual. Budget transfer request 55 is with the sanitation department, moving $406 from refuse and garbage contractual transfer to refuse and garbage equipment to capital outlay. Budget transfer 56 is within highway miscellaneous contractual, moving $1,351 from engineer highway contractual to miscellaneous contractual. And budget transfer request, is that the first one? No. From Trish?
Trish was not going to let you go.
No, but I mean 2017-18, is that number 1 for 18, or is that number...
Doesn't
not
matter.
real.
Just
It's
read
not, it's a fake one? Oh, it is a fake one. Oh, that really, Kevin Burns Farewell Contractual Unlimited to Goodwill Contractual Peace on Earth Unlimited. I am not going to approve that budget transfer. But I will keep it as a memento of my time on the town board. So I'll make a motion to transfer budget requests 54, 55, and 56 as submitted. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
That's good. Farewell contractual to Goodwill.
I'm going to
Peace
go,
on
because
Earth
I may need to cash that in.
That is a great one.
That's
I like
funny.
it. Very
All right,
nice.
she got me.
Okay, any town board member have any other business?
No, I just want to say though, for Trish to go through that, you obviously have done your budget transfers over the years that made her life easy.
Only took me 8 years to figure it out. So, hey, I do have one question. I read in the paper the announcement that Mary Odell brokered a contract or a meeting between Paul Camarda and having to do with
No, no, no.
Costco.
We had a meeting with representatives of Costco.
Right.
We brought them in because there's been a rumor flying around that there's a potential Costco that's going someplace else.
Right.
So we wanted to bring them in. We brought them into Mary Ellen Odell's office, as well as, we brought them into Mary Ellen Odell's office. And we had Maureen Fleming there, supervisor for the town of
Right.
Kent, and myself, and we had some reporters so that we could try to find out what the true story was.
Okay.
It was a very positive meeting, and there was absolutely no truth that they were seriously looking to go anywhere else.
Okay. I mean, it sounded like good news, so I just wasn't...
It was very positive news considering the protracted litigation that never wants to seem to end on this project. As soon as we win, they file an appeal, and it keeps going on and on
Right.
and on.
Right.
And you were the only representative of the town board there, correct? Of our town board?
I was the only.
The only one.
Yeah, I was the supervisor there.
Said we had a meeting did not mean the town board was at a meeting. I didn't want to have any procedural
No, it
issues
was, no,
thrown.
yeah, I was the only person there.
No,
But-
it sounded like
and
good
there-
news when I read it in the paper. I never know whether that's what actually happened.
Oh, yeah, no,
So-
it was a very, very good, substantial, positive meeting with Representative Costco. So, and we did have the press in the room, so. All right, I do have one other piece of business here, and that is, we received a letter, I believe, from Putnam Lake Fire Department. Please be advised that the following person has been accepted as a member of the Putnam Lake Fire Department. Vinnie Santelmo. So I'd like to move, we accept this member.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Good evening. Matt Spinder, Chief of the Patterson Fire Department. First off, I just want to start off by asking Mr. Burns, it's the last town board meeting?
It is.
All right. On behalf of the fire department, I'd like to recognize your service to the town of Patterson for the last 8 years. Thank you.
Thank you.
At the budget meeting that we had with the town board, and at the last town board meeting on November 29th, we discussed an offer of the Patterson Fire Department to provide backup EMS for the amount of $26,275. And just to recap, the original proposal submitted by the fire department on May 22nd was to provide that service for $45,229. The town responded back to us July 13th with a counter proposal of $31,650. And we responded back in August 23rd for an amount of $41,275. That was both operational budget and a capital portion for the vehicle replacement. There seemed to be some confusion, although the letter that was sent to the town after the board meeting in beginning of December, and at the minutes that were posted from the November 29th meeting, that the offer from the fire department was to provide that service for $26,275 in total. So we would like to have a decision tonight about the town board to provide, the fire department to provide backup service, backup ambulance service in the amount of $26,275.
Was that amount the 26,275? And I apologize if I missed part of what you said in your introduction. We had spoke about money in your budget that you had said that you had spoken with your, I might use the wrong terminology, so I apologize, board of directors or your command staff, and they had agreed to take 15 grand out of one of your lines.
Well, we had discussed the possibility of moving money from 2% to cover another cost, the installation dinner.
Right.
And the money that was previously budgeted for that, we would use to offset the vehicle replacement portion of the cost of providing that service. Whether we move that money from 2%, subject to membership approval, whether we take that money from another portion of the budget, whether we go around at our next membership meeting with a ball cap and solicit donations from our membership to cover that cost, what we're asking the town is for $26,275 to provide backup EMS ambulance service.
And what my question was to you, and I apologize if we're not communicating on the same line, is I thought it was 26,275 minus the 15, so I thought it was
No.
a net difference.
As was stated in the minutes
that's where I was
from the
just
November
making sure.
29th meeting, and as was stated in the letter that we sent to you guys in the beginning of December, the operational budget was $26,275. The vehicle replacement portion of our offer was $15,000, which we had agreed we would cover some other way. So the only thing that we were asking from the town was $26,275. So I guess my question is, as we went back and forth since May with these proposals and counter proposals, in July you had agreed to have us provide this service for $31,650, and now we're agreeing to provide this service for $26,275, and the town board's still wavering. I'm not sure I understand.
I'm not sure I understand either. You're confusing me a little bit too, so don't worry. You and I are both a little confused now, so don't worry.
What we're asking you for is $26,275.
So-
That's it.
And all I threw out at the one meeting was, I said that there are lines that some people would say, well, that's not a life-saving line, that's not an equipment line, it's not a vehicle replacement line, and maybe I threw out social line as one of those lines we could look into, and we did. And so all I was saying was, if you were agreeing to take on second call EMS for 26 or for 31,650, right, was the number back in the summer.
That $31,650 that you guys had submitted as a
Right.
counter proposal back in July
Right.
included an operational portion, right? And it also included $15,000 for vehicle replacement, which was us agreeing to extend the useful life of the ambulance from 7 years until 10 years. So it included both an operational portion
Right.
and the vehicle replacement. Our counter proposal in August of $41,275 included $15,000 for vehicle replacement, and although we did agree to make some changes to the operational budget, one of the things that the town board cut out in their counter proposal was bunker gear.
Right. I
And
remember
the
that
statement was,
conversation,
well,
right.
you guys already have bunker gear.
Right.
But it's not firefighting bunker gear, it's EMS only bunker gear.
Right.
And so we put it back in, and we increased the amount to 6 instead of 3 sets, because since that time, I've graduated 3 EMTs, and I have 3 new members. One that returned from military service, and 2 new members that are set to graduate from EMT class. They need to be provided with gear. So there were other things that were taken out of the budget, other things that were put back into the budget. That $41,275 was $15,000 for vehicle replacement, and the remainder was the operational budget. So again, what I'm asking is, if you guys agreed to have us provide that service for $31,650, and now we're agreeing to provide it for $26,275, I'm not sure I understand the hesitation.
So let me try to explain it to you then. And this is why, when we met a couple of weeks ago, I wouldn't agree, because I didn't think I had the agreement of the full town board. Now you're seeing I don't have the agreement of the full town board. The proposal that the town board sent back to you for $31,000 was for $16,000 in operational costs and $15,000 for vehicle replacement costs that the town was going to hold. And that's where the rub is. We are willing to talk about providing you the operational costs to run the ambulance service, but we are not willing to talk about providing you additional funding for the vehicle replacement of the ambulance. It's the direction of the town board that moving forward, the town is going to be holding the vehicle replacement funds that we're setting aside to ensure that you have the appropriate equipment over at the firehouse. More importantly, we're not sure how the ambulance service in this town is going to evolve over time. So for us to give you the replacement cost of the ambulance over 7 years, and then, at the end of 7 years say, geez, well, we're not going to have the fire department do the ambulance service anymore. We've got 3 rigs, 4 rigs out in the field now. Then we've just lost that money. So the town board is pretty adamant that at this point, future vehicle replacement funds are going to be held by the town. That being said, we're willing to talk about the operational costs of your providing ambulance service. And that's where the confusion came in with the
That's why I'm
town board, who
confused, yeah.
thought, when you said we were gonna take $15,000 out of the social line to pay for the cost, everybody up here was under the impression that that money was going from social to the operating costs, not to the vehicle replacement fund.
Right.
Correct.
So that leaves a difference of only about 11 grand from the amount you mentioned, and I'm comfortable with that number. With like a difference of $11,275.
1,100 or 11?
11,000.
11,275 is the difference.
Correct, and
I'm
I agree.
totally
Listen,
comfortable with that.
I will somehow find 11.
And you really feel that $11,000 would cover our operational costs
No,
for the year?
Not at all.
no. I don't, but I'm going on the number he just said, the 26,275. What I feel is that this is a great opportunity for you guys to show what you want to do with this service, because there's money in every budget to be pulled around and used. You see, we do budget transfers all the time because you think money's going here and then you need some money there and you move it around. You guys do the same thing with your budget. In fact, you admitted that you do that with your vehicle replacement fund all the time. I mean, you opened my eyes this year to the reality of that vehicle replacement fund. It's not funded appropriately, and you said that if we put in the true number, we would blow the town's budget. You opened my eyes to that, and I appreciate that, because I realize that it's a misnomer to say that we have a vehicle replacement fund. We have a pot of money we put money into, but it doesn't nearly cover the costs of your equipment. So when I said if we can find a place where 2% money can cover social line, you've got a pot of $15,000 we're already approving budgeting, which you had, at least in theory, had agreed to be able to dip into because you have other revenue streams to be able to backfill that money. You've got 15 grand, we throw in another 11 too, and you've got it, you're done. Operate it, performance-based, make your calls, and we have a great platform to kick out next year's conversation. That was my way of, quite honestly, whether you realize or not, being supportive of you, of saying that, you know, the conversations that we had over at your firehouse and some of the other conversations we had kind of opened up my eyes to some of what your struggles are. But some of the budget lines that you opened up my eyes to show that vehicle replacement fund needs a lot of work. It's not accurately being reflected. You said, I mean, you guys told me that. I didn't make that up.
We're talking about two different things now. Let's stick to EMS.
Okay.
The vehicle replacement, we're willing to take that $15,000 out to be able.
No.
Sorry.
No, you can't. You're not going to have it to take out. That vehicle replacement money is not going in that. It's going to be budgeted. It's going to be held just like you would for an escrow account for mortgage.
Well,
It's going to be
that's the contract. We're not
Okay.
discussing the contract. That's another discussion. That's a lengthy discussion. Or attorneys getting involved.
Okay.
We haven't agreed to anything yet.
Fair enough. So neither have we.
We have a lot to think about and to process and to figure out if it's okay with us. I personally don't want to commingle our money. We'll talk about that at a later date. Right now, I really would like an answer on EMS. We're willing to provide EMS backup service for the amount that, you know, for the
So
20.
to not commingle money, why don't we just remove 15 grand from your budget from the social line, zero that out, add 15 grand into the 11 we just talked about, and give you $26,275 for the EMS line? To me, if that makes it clearer for you, that's fine with me. Doesn't
No,
matter.
It doesn't, but the problem is, okay, the operational budget that we submitted, 26,275, is what we feel the cost is going to be for us to provide that service for
Right.
1 year.
I'm
It
not
has
disagreeing with you.
That has nothing to do with vehicle replacement. We're not asking you for vehicle replacement for this year, okay? So, at some point in the future, the town board and the fire department can have a discussion about the vehicle replacement fund. So, there is nothing in this contract for EMS for 1 year for us to provide that backup service that has anything to do with vehicle replacement.
So
We're
it's-
asking for the operational budget of $26,275, and we'll have a discussion about the contract
Got it.
and the vehicle replacement fund at a later date. All right?
That's
All
what
right,
we
so-
feel is
so
going to
let's
cost
be-
us
so let's be
operationally on
clear.
that
I got
ambulance
it.
for the year.
Yep.
All right,
Okay.
so we're talking about the operational budget at $26,000.
Correct. Right.
You had offered $15,000 out of the social line.
Right.
To what we had offered was, we had offered to take $15,000 either out of 2% or out of another part of the budget.
Right.
Or if we have to solicit the money from our own members or whatever, that we're not asking you for it, okay?
Okay.
But that was for the vehicle replacement.
That was never said at the
That- you
meeting.
never
It
said that.
absolutely was, and I'll tell you,
We have,
the
it
meeting
wasn't because I mentioned the social line, saying that there were other revenue streams that you could use. and
Here are
you
the
said-
minutes,
Go.
here are the minutes from the meeting from 11:29. Mr. Spinder stated, upon a discussion we had earlier, if we agree to take that vehicle replacement amount, the $15,000, and change from our existing budget, what was just adopted, and take the money out of the installation dinner from 2%, that puts us at $26,000 and change. Is that back to our point now? Mr. Williams stated that if you can find that savings within your budget to provide EMS, $26,000 and change, what I just stated,
Yeah.
then certainly we can sit down and work through the details, and we can try and find money within the budget to do that.
So, but
At
now
some
you're
point, if we're gonna
backtracking
run
and
an
saying-
ambulance, no, we're not
wait a
backtracking
minute,
at all.
But you're saying, but now I'm not asking for any money for vehicle replacement.
For this year, we will cover the
So-
cost of the vehicle replacement this year.
Right.
Because at some point, the town board and the fire department need to have a discussion about vehicle
Agreed.
replacement, all right?
Right.
Having the vehicle replacement numbers adjusted annually to properly reflect replacement cost isn't going to blow the budget, but it's going to put us over what we've tried to stay for at least the last 6 years that I've been chief at around a 2% increase. All right, we've always tried to be mindful of what increases we have in our budget and how they affect the town budget at large, okay? But the vehicle replacement is another discussion. So we're not asking you for $15,000 for vehicle replacement. All we're saying is, at some point, if we're going to use this ambulance to provide backup EMS service for the town, which is desperately needed, okay? At some point, we're going to have to replace that ambulance, and we're going to need to budget properly to do that, okay? How we do that is a discussion for another time. Okay,
And where
what
I
we're asking
probably-
for is $26,275 to cover the operational budget to provide backup EMS service for 1 year.
Where I'm getting confused is your statement of the minutes saying that if we find $15,000 from our vehicle replacement, but then you're saying, but we're not asking for, it's like so you're trying to take 15 grand from vehicle replacement on fire trucks? Because I'm confusing that you're saying, well, we're not asking for the 15 grand for the ambulance, but we want to take 15 grand from.
We're asking
vehicle
you
replacement.
guys for
So- And I apologize. She's thrown up her
$26,275 to
face.
cover the operational budget, okay?
Yeah.
If we still feel it necessary, if we're going to provide this service, that we need to budget to cover the cost of eventually replacing this ambulance. So we had talked about somehow, within the fire department's 2% money, another part of the budget, or some other way, that we will put $15,000
Okay.
into our vehicle replacement fund to cover the replacement of the ambulance for next fiscal year. We're not asking you for that money. What we're asking you for is $26,275 to provide the service, all right? Now, I will ask you, when we were here at one of the previous town board meetings, and we asked what was the town board's plan to provide ambulance service in the event that the Patterson EMS ambulance is otherwise out on a call or out of service, you guys told us you were going to rely on mutual aid, okay? I'm telling you, all right, that if you're familiar with what goes on a daily basis in EMS in the county, all right, that all of our neighboring departments are struggling to provide EMS service, okay? The town of Brewster is looking to expand paid coverage beyond their Monday through Friday, 6 to 6, because they have a great difficulty fielding an ambulance for a second call in their district, and they're struggling to get their ambulance out at night and on weekends when it's all a volunteer crew. Lake Carmel, struggling. They're looking at providing paid staffing now because they can't get the ambulance out in a timely manner to cover their calls just about every day. In the last couple of weeks, the Patterson Fire Department ambulance responded to Boulder Brook Lane for a cardiac arrest call a couple of minutes after the Patterson EMS ambulance was already on a call, right? Our fire apparatus and our ambulance arrived at that call probably almost 10 minutes before the next mutual aid ambulance arrived from Lake Carmel, right? Had it been a cardiac arrest and not a seizure, what it ended up being, that person would have waited almost 10 more minutes for an ambulance when ours was there. We had an accident the other night on 22, just south of Haviland Hollow, a head-on collision involving 3 cars. Patterson ambulance, town ambulance showed up and transported the most critically injured patient. The Patterson Fire Department ambulance showed up and transported a second patient, and after numerous requests for additional ambulances from your neighboring departments, you got nothing, all right? They ended up taking the medic unit out of service and transporting 3 patients, BLS, in a medic unit to the hospital because they couldn't get another ambulance. And there was a patient that refused medical attention. Had that patient also needed to be transported, he would have waited an awful long time for an ambulance, all right? So what we're asking you for is $26,275 for next year to provide backup ambulance service to the town. It's needed. It's something, I don't have the statistics in front of me, but I can tell you a couple of times a week probably, all right? The Patterson EMS ambulance is already on a call when a second call comes in the town, and if it's during the day, one of the medic units may be available to provide backup service, but then you're taking them out of service to provide medic service, ALS service, throughout the eastern part of the county.
So what can you guarantee us for that 26,275? What can you guarantee us for your response to second calls? Because those are all good examples, but would you have had people available to cover those examples you just had, second calls?
We did cover them.
So so anytime we get a second call, you'd be able to provide?
What we stated in the letter, okay, and we've stated this in the letter numerous times, is that we will provide backup EMS service when staffing is available, okay? Overnight, between the hours of 2200 and 0600 in the morning, we're going to rely on our duty crew like we have in the past, all right, which is a dedicated driver and a dedicated EMT that are committed to responding to calls within those hours. And those are the most critical hours because the medic unit is off duty after 10 o'clock at night, and the neighboring departments are all relying on volunteer crews. During the day, between the hours of 0600 and 2200, we'll try and provide staffing when available. But again, without guaranteed staffing, either through MSTAR, like the town used to pay for, or we had asked for, as part of that department mechanic position, that guy would be available to drive the ambulance, and we would only then have to crew up an EMT to complete the crew. But if we're not getting additional funding to provide paid staffing or dedicated staffing for that, I can't guarantee you. Just like I can't guarantee you that we're going to cover a fire call at any time, day or night of the week. We know what our staffing is. It varies between time of day and day of the week, but unless the town is providing supplemental paid staffing, we're not guaranteeing you anything. No volunteer fire department in this county is guaranteeing your response for anything.
And what did we do when we were paying MSTAR to provide the EMTs to ride on your ambulance? What did we do for second calls then?
When they were responding on our ambulance, we relied on our duty crew, our volunteers. We had a dedicated driver and a dedicated EMT that were on duty to cover those second calls at night with our second ambulance.
We were paying EMTs, and then we had a dedicated crew as well?
On some nights, and on the nights that the MSTAR staffing was not there, our duty crew, the volunteer duty crew, was covering the calls, right? And at night, if our duty crew handled the first call and a second call came in, we would try and staff our second ambulance, and if not, it went to mutual aid. So this system that we came up with the Patterson EMS department, all right, working in conjunction with the fire department, was supposed to be an improvement on the level of service that we had before when we were using MSTAR. That's what it was billed as. And like I said, right now there is no backup.
Rich, I would rather have them agree to take $15,000 out of their budget, wherever they find it, I don't really care where at this point, and dedicate it towards EMS and not your vehicle replacement. And we put $15,000 into the vehicle replacement line that the town is going to hold. Contracts all being agreeable, I'm just speaking philosophically. And then approve the funding of the other $11,275 to make up your operating expenses.
Bless you.
Bless you. And then we would be assured that the money would be in the vehicle replacement fund. We would be getting a firm commitment from them that they're giving an honest effort within their own budget to come up with 15 grand, and we'd be making up the difference of the 11,275. It makes your operating budget. It doesn't have you grabbing from one area and putting into a vehicle replacement fund for some future. It gives us the money in the budget to be assured, and it allows you your operating costs. And we put in a performance measure so that we track it for the calendar year, so we have an educated discussion next year about how we can really make calls. Because I don't doubt that it's not through any lack of people wanting to do or wanting to respond. It's just like you've always said, it's nighttime's one thing, but during the day people work. It is what it is. I get that. But to me, that seems like a heck of a compromise to make sure that the money is coming from all the right places.
No, I absolutely agree with you, and that's the conversation that I've had with you and Peter and Charlie. Haven't had it with Kevin, one-on-one, but I've had it with everybody else, that we are trying to meet you halfway. Well, that initial $31,000 budget that we had proposed to you included $15,000 for vehicle replacement and $16,000 for the operational costs to run the ambulance service. That was a counter proposal after we reviewed your proposal to us. We thought your proposal, which included $26,000 for operating, was high. And so we pared it down a little bit. But before I go any further,
The original budget was more.
Yes, absolutely.
The original proposal was 23 and change for operational and 21,429 for vehicle replacement. That was at a 7-year life. You guys cut it to 16. I increased it from 23, our original, to 26,250 because of we took some things out and we put some stuff back because of the additional membership, etc. But the $15,000 vehicle replacement fund, and I said this in the original, in the response to the July counter proposal, we have not agreed, and we have not had this discussion with the town board about the vehicle replacement, all right? All of the money that you guys give us, all the money that you have given us over the course of time for vehicle replacement is accounted for, all right? We've had audits, okay? At some point, when we have this discussion with the town board about vehicle replacement, I will make clear to you where all of the money is, okay? The fact that you guys continue to harp on the vehicle replacement fund and insinuate that there is some type of misappropriation or mismanagement with that money, frankly, is insulting, okay? I've told you that before. We've explained it to you before, okay? And when we have the discussion, we'll make clear to you where the money is, okay? Trust me, it's there. There is no misappropriation. It's just that we do our vehicle replacement different than maybe you guys do, but the money is there.
Matt, I'm going to tell you right now, we're getting off track, and we probably should get back on track, because you really don't want to talk about that vehicle replacement fund with us right now. You really don't.
Well, let's continue talking about EMS.
Let's talk about EMS, all right? So, all we're looking to do right now is fund the operation of EMS. We're trying to meet you halfway. We're willing to take the $26,000 operating budget If you take $15,000 and throw it towards that $26,000 operating budget, we'll find another $11,000 to give you for the operating budget. We're not going to worry about the $15,000 in vehicle replacement. We'll talk about that some other time if you want. And that's what the town board is willing to agree to at this time.
Well, Mr. Rogan made the point that you were gonna throw money in to cover a portion of the operational budget, and you were gonna take $15,000 and set it aside, and you wanna hold on to it for vehicle replacement. But at some point, 8 more years from now, because the ambulance is about 2 years old, we have to make, a provision to provide a replacement for that ambulance. Okay? So we can't leave out the $15,000.
Then if you want to tie it in with a discussion about vehicle replacement, we'll have that discussion
No.
about vehicle replacement right now.
I agree that with your frustration about feeling insulted, because I feel like you just insulted me. I think you're saying that I'm going to say, let's put $15,000 in vehicle replacement, but then that's not going to be available when you need an ambulance. The whole
No.
The whole point of it is so that
He
it is
just,
available.
Mr. Williams just said
Yeah.
that you wanted us to take $15,000 and put it towards the operational budget. You would come up with the other 11 and change.
Correct.
And there was no provision. He just said there was no provision for vehicle replacement.
No, I think that...
That's what he just said.
Yeah, I think it was probably Because
What I said is we're not going to talk about vehicle replacement
because of
right
what
now.
Yeah, but I don't think the intent is to not fund that. The intent is, because you just said that contractually, we have to come to some agreement as to where that money sits. Is correct, right? Because that's a contractual item that you haven't agreed to yet.
And
Correct?
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
It is.
So let's get past
Right.
that.
But
and
what
get
I'm
to your
saying is we
operational
have to make a
budget.
provision to make sure, one way or another, whether you give us the $15,000 for the vehicle replacement.
Right.
Or whether you agree tonight
Yeah.
to put it aside and hold it for us,
Sure.
$15,000, until we can have that discussion. That vehicle replacement money has to be appropriated also.
Of course.
Because eventually we need to replace the ambulance.
Absolutely. I think we're all in agreement that whether or not we're using all the same language, but it's you asking to put some trust in you have to put some trust in us that we're going to put that money aside. That's a budgetary thing. That's open books. We have, our books are as open as yours are. So let's get to your operating budget, because that's really the meat and potatoes of what we're here to talk about, and whether or not you guys have second call ambulance, which I got to say, I'm tired of feeling, I know you are too, I'm tired of feeling like we're struggling and fighting with each other, because I'm not here to fight with you. I don't dislike you or anybody in your fire department. I want you guys to continue doing the great work you're doing, and I'm very proud of the work you guys do. But man, this is getting exhausting. You offered a budget, we said in good faith, go get 15 grand out of your budget. You said you would. I don't care where it comes from at this point. If you can take 1,000 out of social and 1,000 out of here and 1,000 out of there, bottom line is it's a good faith effort. We're trying to move into the future here. We're trying to build relations. I'm all for it. I'm not against you. I'm really not. And I think we should close by saying we'll approve the $11,275 to make up the difference between your good faith effort and our good faith effort, and move on and be done with this.
So,
Period.
just to be clear, right?
Sure.
We're gonna come up with $15,000
Not from your vehicle replacement,
To put
anything.
into the
15 from your operational budget.
to cover the
Correct.
operational budget.
And we'll come up with
You guys are gonna come up with the
11,275.
11,275, and you are also gonna put
We are.
$15,000 into vehicle replacement that you guys are gonna hold.
We have to. That's what we said we were
But
going
I thought the whole point was we're going to leave discussion about vehicle replacement for
Whether it's
another day.
with us or with them, that's really my only issue.
That's,
is
the
whether-
discussion is whether
Yeah.
you guys hold it or we hold it.
Right.
And we haven't
Correct.
discussed that.
Is that the only discussion, Rich?
That's the only
That's my
discussion.
only discussion,
Listen,
so- So moved.
if we're going to be responsible for replacing the vehicles, we're going to have to do it,
Yeah.
so
Okay, so let me be the devil's advocate. A year from now, they've provided second call ambulance services. We have the $15,000 in our hands. It's a failure. They don't meet their goals. There's no, second call. It's not working. We decide, it's best if we part ways. You go your way. Maybe we're going to expand our coverage, hypothetically. I don't know. What happens to the $15,000? So they can sell their ambulance, get some recovery. Does that $15,000 fall back to the town, or does that $15,000 fall to the fire department?
you've seen the contract.
Right. Well,
All
did they?
right, so what's in the contract, specified in the contract right now, is if that were to occur, they go out of the ambulance service, they don't want to do it anymore.
Right.
And we've been paying into the vehicle replacement fund.
Right.
Then we have the option of moving that money somewhere else in the vehicle replacement fund to
Okay.
cover the cost of another vehicle.
Okay.
Right? Or, you know, if everything else is fully funded, we can move it back to general fund.
Okay.
But what the contract does this year, for the first time, is it places the onus on the town for paying for the vehicles for the fire department in exchange for us holding the funds.
Okay.
Now, just to clarify, right, we're talking about EMS service, and we're talking about $15,000 for the ambulance that you guys are going to appropriate and you're going to hold on to. All right, when you talk about the contract, you're talking about the proposed contract that we have not met with our attorney to discuss and we have not approved. So the
Clearly, whatever
$15,000 for
gets
the
approved
ambulance
for vehicle
is a separate
replacement is going to
thing
be,
than the fire department contract that we have not signed for next year.
right, clearly whatever ends up getting settled with the contract with vehicle replacement funds is going to be effective for all vehicle replacement funds. You can't do it for one, and if, we're either going to come to agreement on it or we're going to come to agreement on something, that's for sure. So, I made the motion, it's been seconded.
Did you have you mentioned a performance clause?
Well, we had put that into the contract, and that was a real tough conversation. I just feel like there should be, see, I know it's a good faith effort, but I feel like there should be a tracking mechanism to say there were 52 calls throughout the year for second
We look
call,
at our,
and
we
made
look at
30.
our statistics
Yeah.
every month.
Good.
And we provide the town board with a quarterly report.
Great.
Every 3 months with fire calls, and we used to do with EMS calls also.
Yeah.
All right? So I can certainly go back and as part of the contract, as part of my quarterly report and my year-end report, give you statistics on how many second calls we were dispatched to and how many we actually covered. I will add
think
that.
that's going to be great.
I will add that to
To
my.
me, this is like a golden opportunity for 2018 for Patterson Fire Department, second call EMS to kick butt. To say, hey, we're doing it well, we're providing great service to our community, and we're making 85%, 90% of our calls. I mean,
Right,
volunteers, you're not going to make everything.
This way we have something to base on next year.
Right.
When we look at this again and we say, okay, look, they said they could make, say, let's say 65% of the calls or whatever
Right.
it is. And they say, look, we made 70% of the calls. So that would be a good measure that we could recontract with them, renew a contract.
I just think it goes to having some statistical support that we're all agreeing on that says, hey, this is what we did, and I think that's
We
great.
provide that to you
Great.
guys now already.
Good.
All right, there is one last point that I do want to bring up, and that's, you've got some very qualified EMTs over there. You've got a bunch of EMTs who have never been out in an ambulance. Once again, I'm going to offer the town of Patterson, you know, our EMS service for those EMTs who have never been out on a call, because we really don't want to see people who have never been on a call going out on a call.
Well,
They need to
before
have some
before
training.
we put an EMT who has graduated and been certified by the state to go on a call, and if a person graduates from the EMT class today, the state says they can be on an ambulance tomorrow riding an ambulance.
Yes, they
They
do.
could ride on your ambulance, they could ride on M-Star's ambulance, but before an EMT from our fire department rides on an ambulance, they go through an orientation and they go through a mentoring program with a senior EMT before the lieutenant of EMS approves them to ride on the ambulance alone as a duty crew chief.
So they will go through some training.
That's always been our policy.
Okay.
Good.
All right.
Motion's
All right,
been made
motion's
and
made and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Great.
Okay,
All right.
thank you.
Working up an agreement. Anyone else have anything?
Good evening, Bruce Major, 166 Somerset. I just have two things. As it relates to the scanner, will you have an off-site backup for those electronic files?
Yes.
Okay, two. Pete, 2 weeks ago I was at the rec center, and I knew you did the drive for all that clothing, and there's still boxes of clothing at the rec center. I stopped by there today, and they're still there. What are your plans to do with that? I would imagine it missed the truck, but that's stuff that people could use.
Oh, there's another drive going on. I'll get you the details on it.
Okay.
We might be able to transfer it over to that. It's,
Sure.
they just put it out through my office.
Okay, that'd be good, because I'm
It's either
sitting,
Putnam
it's
Tap
sitting there,
or
and first of all...
NYSEG, actually.
It's,
NYSEG.
it's not in a good place where it's sitting,
Yeah.
okay?
I'll get.
Great,
we can get
terrific.
that.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you.
Take care of it. I think it's through NYSEG. It's the warm something, right? It's a winter clothing drive.
Great.
Yeah. Cool.
Pat Ploger. Sorry, this weather. I just want to say how privileged I was to, in 2007, spend a lot of time with this guy on the end of the bench there. And luckily, he got to sit there and did a great job for the past 8 years. I want to thank him for his liaison-ing, whatever it's called, with the Putnam Lake Park District. We appreciated that. I know all of you guys have since been kind of coming to our meetings. And just say good luck in your future, and thank you again for your service.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Phil Capalvo, Town of Patterson Highway. Rich knew this was coming. It's the end of the year. It's like our State of the Union address that hopefully next year somebody else will give. First off, I do want to thank Kevin Burns for all his service and his support of the employees over at Highway and Sanitation. It's been well appreciated, and we felt the support you've given us over the years, and it's going to be missed, but we thank you very much. We also want to welcome Mary Smith on. I got to meet Mary the other day and apologize in advance for her mailbox this winter because she's on my route. And
Wait.
She took. Wait, hang on. I'm going to tell you.
Mailbox?
Yep.
My lawn?
Yep, I was just going to tell you, see, don't feel so bad, we're equal opportunity. My first time out this year, and I rolled up a piece of sod on Rich Williams' lawn, you could sell it Home Depot for probably $15. And it's just the way winter goes. And while we're on that subject, I believe, Russell, correct me if I'm wrong, it's November 1st to April 1st. There's no parking on the town roads. If you could please keep your cars in the driveways, it'll keep the guys from having to call to have you towed and trying to plow you in. Believe it or not, it's not intentional to push snow in your driveway. It's just a matter of keeping the roads clear for the buses and emergency vehicles and getting everybody to and from work safely. We're not doing it intentionally. Mailboxes coming down, we do everything we can to report them and get right back out and put them up. They're always fixed come spring permanently, but sometimes during winter you'll see them taped together until spring comes because you just can't dig too much during the winter. Kevin will tell you, I caught his electric box while he was in California one year, and but we do everything we can to take care of it. Nothing's intentional, and nobody's trying to push snow in your driveway just to get you upset, although it seems that way after 3 hours of shoveling your own driveway. We have to go home and shovel ours too. So, but Rich, I apologize already. I can't believe it's already the first of the year.
It's fine.
But,
I needed to reshape it there a
I
little bit
know.
anyway.
But I was just telling Mary, I'm apologizing in advance because them mailboxes up on Somerset and Devon always catch me. And she was like, it's no problem, I got it, okay. And then I go take sod up on Rich. But anyhow, Kevin, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Mary, we welcome and looking forward to working with you. 2017 for the employees has been really good. That doesn't mean it wasn't uneventful. Rich can tell you it's been eventful, but you know, we've worked through a lot of issues with a lot of good sound reasoning and judgment on the board's behalf. Rich has left his door open, and we've used it a million times. I've probably talked to Rich over the last year, probably at least a dozen times, and I've stopped in at least 5 or 6 times, picked his brain, and we've gotten a lot of ground done. I told him the other day that it's actually kind of nice. We feel more like employees instead of the union. You know, it's always been a fight, and we're kind of on a par now where things are being handled a lot better, and we feel a little bit more comfortable with the full town board the way it sits right now and how it's being handled. So we want to tell you we appreciate it. I also want to say I appreciate your follow-up with sanitation and keeping that an ongoing work, and it's been a huge turnaround between you handling it on the town side and Russ handling it. As the supervisor side, we've seen a huge turn over there and how it's working. So 2017's been good, and I'm hoping for a really good 2018, so thank you for all your help.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Phil. Anyone else? Well, we do have one last piece of business, and that's to say farewell to Kevin Burns, as Matt has and Phil has. And Kevin,
Yes.
I want to say it has been an incredible journey with you. You have been such a tremendous asset to this board. You are going to be very much missed. So I wish you best of luck on your future endeavors, and I'm sure you're going to excel at everything else. And there is more.
There's more.
There is more.
A gold watch?
No.
Key to the town?
But
Key to the town?
to commemorate the night, I do have a proclamation.
Oh, I get a proclamation.
And actually,
Nice.
my throat is just about shot, so
Proclamation.
proclamation.
Oh, I am actually honored to be able to read this for Kevin. A proclamation honoring Councilman Kevin Burns from the town of Patterson, County of Putnam, State of New York. Whereas Kevin Burns has served the community of Patterson as town councilman from January 1st, 2010 to December 31st, 2017. And whereas Councilman Kevin Burns has been a stalwart advocate for fiscal responsibility and improving the quality of life for all of Patterson residents. And whereas Councilman Kevin Burns has been vigilant in protecting the interests of the residents of the town of Patterson. And whereas Councilman Kevin Burns has demonstrated values of hard work and service throughout his life. Whereas Councilman Kevin Burns' wisdom has provided invaluable guidance through some of our more challenging times and will be greatly missed by this town board. Whereas the town board of the town of Patterson wishes to honor Councilman Kevin Burns for his exemplary service to both our community and those he has served. And now therefore be it resolved that the town board of the town of Patterson hereby issues this proclamation to Councilman Kevin Burns in recognition of his outstanding service. And we extend our appreciation and gratitude for 8 years of commitment and dedication towards making Patterson a better community. This 27th day, December 2017, signed by this man. And
You could have just moved that. You just could have moved that as red.
yeah, I know.
Thank you very much.
And we did get you another little memento. And we all chipped in and got you something for you and your wife to start taking back the time that you've spent with us and taken away from her.
On behalf of my wife, I thank you, and myself. Thank you very much. And thank you to the residents of Patterson for allowing me to serve them for 8 years. I appreciate it. It's been an honor.
All right. And no, because we're not done. Motion to go into executive session.
Damn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Thank you very much.